Yo, yo, yo. You in the house, say hey. Welcome to the Spike Leo Show. Another day, okay? It's good to be alive, man. Come on. Out of hand sanitizer. Thank you. Thank you for coming today. Thank you from the bottom of my sanitizer. It's gone. You know why it's gone? Because we're getting out of lockdown now, man. We're getting out of lockdown. That's why the sanitizer's finished. Fuck COVID. Yes. I need to buy some more hand sanitizer though, seriously. It's gone. I use that shit like moisturizer now. You know what I mean? I just, conflicting music. Yeah, sanitizer's like the new moisturizer. You sprinkle a little bit, it's like perfume. Get that alcohol smell like you've had a good night out. Because we haven't been doing anything for 2 years, because COVID. Hey, we just got the announcement for you playing at home that Thursday, Melbourne, the most locked down city in the goddamn world.
Catch me outside, how about that?
That's right. He's getting out of lockdown, man. Come on, give it up. Yes! And you know Thursday night we're going to have an early night anyway. But it's exciting. It's exciting. We've been locked down for 2 years, man. Please, never again. Get back to normal, clients in the studio, maybe see some family. I don't know. Some friends. I can't even remember if I have any friends. It's been so long inside. Look, today we are going to be doing a Twitchtorial, a quickie in Italy, and going to be doing some bussing and stuff like that. Keep it simple. Alright, let's get straight into it, fam.
This is
Spike Leo.
A little bit late there, but yes, this is Spike Leo. So, you know, I like to start with my thoughts of the day. Verbal. And my thoughts of the day, I was reading this fabulous book called, I'm trying to think of it now, Work Your Creative, Show Your Working, Work Your, it's by Austin Kleon. It's really annoying that I can't remember it. Hold on. Show Your Work, that's what it's called. Thank you. Thank you, brain, for waking up. It's called Show Your Work, and I read it over a few days. Now, I don't like reading. And when I was a young boy, my father read to me every night, and I did enjoy it. I mostly fall asleep to the sound of his voice, because he has a very radio-like voice, so I don't know how much of the stories that I captured over that time, but I do remember kind of starting the stories and then falling asleep, just because someone was reading to me. I don't know if it was like that it was monotonous, but I think it was just more like the sound of a low testosterone-y voice. As I grew up, I wasn't a fan of reading either. I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about this. But I did get into it in my early 20s, and I guess it's because I was looking for answers. And there was a lot of books there that started giving me these answers. I don't know, I was just kind of, your 20s, you're trying to find out who the hell you are, and you're asking all these big questions, and your brain is exploding with different hormones, and you don't have the answers, and it's a testing time. And I remember reading The Alchemist, life-changing. You should pick up that book. That should be the first book you read if you don't like reading. And hold on, let me so I read The Alchemist, and that was a game changer for me. And after The Alchemist, hold on, I want to turn myself up a bit. There we go. After I read The Alchemist, I read a whole bunch of Paulo Coelho, I think that's the way you say his name. I read a whole bunch of his books, and I really, really enjoyed them. And I probably read about 8 or 9 books, and then I stopped for a few more years. And I always get to this point where I read books when I really, really need them, because I don't enjoy the act of sitting down and reading. I'm very fidgety, and I'm very hands-on and practical. I like to touch things and twist knobs, and that's just the way I am. But what I'm saying is that every time I read a book, it creates life-altering effects on me. And there's just so much knowledge in books, and I guess you can consume it through podcast, but I'm just not dedicated to constantly playing the same thing every morning. But when I do read books, I just feel like it creates tremendous growth in my mind, and the way I think about things and the way I do things. And I just think it's a very, very important part of being creative, because as a creative, I feel like most of our careers, we are floating endlessly from job to job, and creatively we just working on something, and then we're into the next thing, and when is it ever finished? And there's so many questions and so much uncertainty, and I think it's really important to have peace of mind when it comes to these things, because it can be very unsatisfying when you're constantly, we're constantly creating work. We're in this flooded society of content. It's hard to get recognition, and a lot of the time when we're creating, we're looking for recognition. We're looking for where you're simply creating because that's what you do, and you love to create. And there's, of course, the recognition would be fantastic, and love. You want the recognition. You're creating because it makes you feel great, and it's what you know how to do. And I just think it's such a beautiful place to be. And if you look at kids, when we're all born and young and growing up, the first interactions we have are generally creative ones. We learn to walk, we learn to talk, we play games, we learn shapes, we learn about all types of things, and we find those incredibly stimulating and rewarding and enjoyable. And then slowly we go through the educational system, and we're told you need to do this, you need to learn this, you need to learn a whole bunch of stuff you don't like. But initially, we are attracted to learning things that we are in love with, and doing things that we love to do. You can't tell a kid, well, I know you don't like this, son, but let's just do it because it's going to be good for you in the future. Like I remember doing mathematics in high school, and I always asked my teacher, like, why the hell are we doing this, man? So what do you mean? I'm like, why are we learning this over that equals this? And I said, I'm never going to use this shit. And I was like 100% certain that I would never use this shit. I'm like, look, I know my plus and minus relatively well, and my multiplication tables. I was one of the worst, by the way. And, school was really effective at making me feel like an idiot, even though my brain was wired differently. And, I had talents in things that were creative, which was, I always had great marks in music and drama and things that were creative. And I was okay at sport, but, I was good at tennis. That was pretty much it. And for a small period of time, I could run fast. And then, I didn't train. I didn't enjoy it. And for me, I've always grown up with parents who have supported me to say, if this is what you love to do, so do it. You know what I mean? And there were times even when I was doing stuff that I loved that I didn't necessarily want to wake up at 7, 8 in the morning and play competition tennis, but my dad taught me, which I was very lucky about, discipline and workflow. And discipline kicks in when you're doing something you love, but you have an off day. You don't feel like doing it. And pushing past that is discipline. And I think that's also extremely important. And I guess my point around this is like when you look at little kids, we're quite patient. You know, like mostly all kids will eventually learn to walk and to talk, unless there's obviously complications that don't allow them to. But, you know, we all go through the process. And, you know, I'm serious when I'm using my hands. We go through the process, the natural process of learning to walk and learning to talk. And as we get older, we become less patient, and we are in this society now where social media is always showing us the best of everyone and their successes and all the great things they've achieved. That we don't see all the shit in between. And when you're a kid, you're not questioning, you're just going through the motions. You learn to crawl, and then you learn to walk, and then you run, and you fall, and you cry, and you hurt yourself, and your parents hopefully tell you, it's going to be okay, you're okay, here's a Band-Aid, blah, blah, blah. You bleed a little, and lots of tears, but you let it go and you move on. And there's something about getting into your 20s and 30s when we consider ourselves more intelligent, and you know, we can think logically, and I mean there's lots of things going on, there's hormones and emotions and all that kind of stuff, but it's you know, we get to this age of 20 and 30 and we're living in this society where everyone wants it now. We have to have it now. Spike, I've been producing for like 6 months, when am I going to be famous? No shit, I've had questions like that. You know, why am I not good yet? Like crazy ass questions. And if you really just think about the process of a child of learning to walk and learning to talk, guys, this shit is exactly the same. You know, if you want to be a great music producer, there's so many people wondering why they can't get from here to here straight away. You got to go through the journey and the process. And I am lost. Books are so now it'd be frustrating if we're not finding them, but then I embrace that as that is part of the journey. You know, if we didn't get frustrated and if we didn't ask questions, then how are we able to progress in the journey? That is part of the process, being frustrated and finding mentors. And it's like you always, as an artist, need to be curious to discover, and we always need to be students. There is no master who doesn't still consider themselves a student, no matter how good they are. They are always, their way of thinking, they are always open to learning new things. They're so inquisitive and curious to absorb further knowledge in their field, and then that type of brain goes out into other ventures. You know, if you look at someone like Pharrell, like someone who I really admire, who I'd love to meet one day. I've been looking up to Pharrell since I was 14, 15 years old. It's a long time now. And this guy's in everything. You know, I moisturized my face this morning with Pharrell's skin products. You know what I mean? Like, the dude's not just in music. He's so creative and he's trying to make a difference in the world. So, you know, I'm giving a lot of thought around, for me specifically, like, what difference can I make in the world with music? How can I offer value? I'm still have a self-interest. I'm still, you know, vested in my own career and growth. But how can I take people who really want to along the journey with me? How can I help others? What type of value and legacy am I leaving with my life? And these are always questions that I'm, you know, going through my mind, and I'm reading lots of books. I'm reading books on creativity, books on self-development, you know, books on marketing. Like, it's business, it's the mind, it's the body, it's the soul, it's all those things put together. And I'm just you know, on the daily, I'm just trying to embrace the journey, embrace the knocks and the falls, because I know that I do have the discipline and the work ethic, and I am dedicated. I'm extremely passionate as a human being about other human beings and obviously music. And I just want to keep falling forward until I arrive at my destination. And I don't necessarily know what that is. I have in my mind where I want that to be, but where I will end up, you never know. So anyway, that is my thoughts of the day. I hope that's been of value to you in any way. But yeah, it's I think there's a lot of value in picking up a book when you're feeling lost and you can't find the answers. Ask people who you look up to, what's a good book that you read that you found life-changing in any given topic. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to it, fam. Welcome to Dawnland. All right, so we need to look for... Let's look for a project. I have been working on this one in the Twitch. I haven't finished it yet, which I would like to. But let's go in here, have a look. If it opens. Yeah. La 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 la. Verbal. Alrighty. La 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 la. There we go. Okay, let's have a listen to this little fella over here. Yeah. Cool. So what I've done here is, with a lot of this stuff, I've been running it through pedals. And pedals are essentially plugins. And they're just hardware plugins. So I don't know if we can see it in the camera here. No, we can't. It is just before the alcohol. But we cannot see the pedals. I am not going to get up to move the camera. So if we have a look at these ones here, I think this is from the Moog Matriarch. It's the original sound. This is just the Moog, making all that beautiful modulation. Then I put it through here. This is called Microcosm. It's like a plugin. That's how it sounds without the plugins. Really ambient, beautiful. They go nicely together. Bass. Ooh. So, what we're going to look at first is we'll have a look at this one here. We'll see what I've done. Okay, let's go to door 2. Full screen door, you can't even see it. Let's go back to door 1. Okay, back to door 1. So what I've done here is, now effects are just, it depends, you know, when I'm thinking about effects, I'm thinking about the type of vibe I'm going. And sometimes I use effects that I know exactly what they're going to do. Other times when I have more time, have I said time much? I like to experiment a little bit and just open it and play with plugins. That's half the fun, the exploration. So this one is just some saturation. Not really effects. EQ. And then I was like, I really want to just play with this sound. So I'm using one called Tape Boy by the homie Curtis King. Not a homie of mine yet. See, I've added some fuzz, a bit of wobble, a bit of ducking, and the mix, you know, it's on like, that's 100%. But I was sitting at probably about 30 or something like that. Yeah, about 30%. So I'm just adding, for me that adds a little bit of flavor. Now there's two ways that you can use effects. You can either slap it right on the track itself, which is going to affect the whole source of the sound, or you can put it on a bus. So we're going to get to buses in a sec. Some really great plugins for effects are Sound Toys. I would highly suggest trying them out. They are definitely industry standard, and I would say any semi to professional producer would own them. And there's always sales on this stuff too. So this is a Tremolator. You can just see it's creating some movement. Dun 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 dun. If I turn it up. And there's lots of beautiful presets to start with on stuff like this. Then microshift is, for me, it's something I like to use as a widener, and it gives it flavor as well. So you can detune, delay without, with. Oh, hold on, you can't even hear what's going on here. How annoying. Let's go audio. This is what happens when I change my settings, fam. Let's go pedal, apply. Alright, let's have a look here. Na 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 na. There we go. So let's try that again. So basically, saturation. This is the source. And then saturation. Beefs it up. EQ. Tape. Tape Boy. Tremolator. Microshift. Gives it that beautiful kind of chorusy, spacey effect. And these guys under here are just for the kick drum. So when the kick comes in, yeah, so that basically is just making that synth duck when it happens, alright? Okay, sweet. So let's move on a little bit. So we got these three guys here. So throwing effects on instruments, I guess it's just like, what do you want it to do? Okay, and by understanding what you want it to do and having a good, healthy curiosity and time to experiment with plugins, you're going to know how to get there quicker. So, you know, I'd just be, for me, like back in the day, I still always have an ear to the ground with like what's happening and what sounds good, but I'll always download a plugin, demo it, experiment, see if I like it, if I need it. And someone who's really good at sharing that kind of stuff is Decap. So if you check out Decap's channel, Decap's always sharing different plugins and stuff like that. Really useful information. So if we have a look here, this is Omnisphere. You know, sometimes I'm not doing a lot, but let's have a listen. This is just some saturation here. Pump it up. EQ. Micro shift again. Yeah, so just like pushes it out nice and wide. So you got two options, okay? This is when it gets to, do I put the effect on the instrument or do I put it on a bus? And busing took me a long, long time to figure out. But it's very, very simple, and I'm going to explain it to you now. So we have two options here, okay? And we have two options here. So let's get a reverb. So if we use a reverb like this, let's get this on. Now what happens is when we chuck it straight on the channel, right, it is affecting the whole source of the sound. So if I throw this on now, it affects all parts of the frequency. And I'm not really, you know, I can play with the effects in here. Low frequency, push the high frequency, push the low frequency, etc. But you are limited to what you can do and how you can really color the sound or the EQ. And what it does when you put reverb straight on, it's pushing it very far back in the mix, as you can hear. Okay, so now if we turn this off, we're going to create a bus. I'm going to chuck this on the bus like so. Okay, I turn it up to 100% mix. And now I have a thing called a send. So if you can see down here, I can operate how much of this plugin I blend into the dry sound. So that is the difference here. This is the sound dry, so to speak. There's already effects on there from Omnisphere. But you can hear it's a big difference to that. And then what I can do is I can keep the source of the sound the same and then blend in the reverb signal into the dry sound. So watch what happens when I push this send up. Now what's good about that is, now that it's on a bus, I can treat it as if it's its own sound, as if it's its own sound. There's a lot of sibilance there. As if it is its own sound, alright? So this is the reverb effect. Just the reverb effect, playing by itself now, okay? So if I didn't want this low end, wanted to get rid of that and just blend in this part of the reverb, and we can go beyond this. So we'll have a listen in a second. This is with the dry signal. So this is the dry signal, and this is blending in the verb. See, we can get rid of all the mud. That's the sound by itself. So now what we can do to make it more interesting is we can actually sculpture the reverb itself. So say I wanted to put a chorus on the reverb, okay? And turn it off. So we start getting that reverb, and then say we wanted to add to that. You can add whatever you want. You can experiment with this stuff, and then, you know, you can fine tune it or save it as a preset. So this is the reverb now. That's the dry signal. And now we're going to blend in this mess over here. Blend it in slowly. Starts giving it some more color and texture. It's how you can make things more interesting. Then if I want to create some movement, I can get a like a tremolo, or easy one is a one knob pumper, which I use a lot on a lot of stuff. And we can, you know, experiment with this as well. So that's the reverb now. Can do another one, can make it flutter. Add the dry signal. We start getting these different dimensions and different layers. We'll turn it off. We'll say let's add that in. Dry signal. Still nice. We'll slowly add this in. Nothing. So that's the effect. So that would be the difference between this and say this. See, that's just fully washed out with the plug-in on the track. Turn that off. So you see we're still getting the dry signal, but we're blending in this reverb. So we still get the accent of the marimba or whatever you want to call it, xylophone. But the other reverb washes it out, the whole frequency. And if that's what you're going for, that's cool. But it's good to just, you know, have an understanding of the difference and how you can manipulate sound the way you want it to be. That's all it comes down to, just understanding your tools so you can manipulate it the way you want it. So let's have a look here. So here I haven't done much at all. These are just my vocals. And I think I actually recorded them in with reverb. It's already printed in. I did some EQ, got rid of all the low frequencies and some of the high. Put Tape Boy, which I've been using on this project. Gives it a little bit of dirt and a bit of wobble, and without it, I chucked it straight on. I want to affect all of it. I tried that, changing the form, it didn't sound good. Little Alter Boy, which is a Soundtoys plugin, doesn't sound great with a group of vocals, but if I put it on every individual one, it would have sounded better. But alas, I didn't. And then I made a bus with a bit more reverb. Which I maybe didn't need, but I have put it on there. And that's just because I want to wash it out a bit and put it back. What have we got here? Ah, yes. These are some claps. Put some effects on there as well. So these are the original claps. And I've put some EQ. Tape Boy. RC20. I mean, it's like one of the best effect plugins you can get right now. Valhalla Room. Give it some space so it's not dry. Made it wider. That's it, pretty much. Then our vocals. Add the synth in. Give us the vibe. So I think all the plugins and the effects are useful. You can do anything with effect plugins, and you don't necessarily need pedals. But you don't necessarily need anything in this studio. You don't. You just need a laptop, to be honest. Now, having stuff in a studio is super, super fun. But you don't need them. You know, if I just had a laptop, I'd be fine. But I do love all the equipment. Because I prefer being, like I said, hands-on with stuff. And it feels more fun and more organic. But you could do absolutely everything in the DAW, no problem. And the effects and the plugins and the VSTs, all the synthesizers they have now, they're super, super dope. I still use a lot of stuff in the box as well. And eventually, I guess the idea is in the not too distant future, is when we can start traveling again, I can get a laptop and an interface and, you know, obviously not take my equipment over with me, but go about and collaborate using like a minimal setup of stuff that that would suffice for my, you know, creative activity. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. That is today's Twitchtorial. Short and sweet, baby. Keep it under an hour. And that's just a little bit on bussing. I think what we'll do next week is we'll get more involved with like some vocal bussing and effects, which I think could be really, really valid. But I hope you found that useful, friends and family. And next stream will be Wednesday. We're going to do a Twitch collab. Make sure you come through and have a lovely day. Is it sunny outside in Melbourne? No, it's absolutely crap-ola, as usual. Lovely summer's day in Melbourne. Hey, at least we're getting out of lockdown. Dear Lord. Yeah, exactly. I can't wait to get out, man. Alright, well, that's it. That's my 2 bobs. I'm sending you love and creativity, and I will see you guys same place, same time on Wednesday. Let's give it up, fam. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Too many buttons. There we go. Let's get out of here, man. Peace out.